So let's get started. Um, First thing I want to talk about is a little thing called value. All right? You maybe heard that term thrown around and you probably know what it is, but if you don't, value is how black, gray, or white an area of an object is. So when you look at a gradient here going from black to light, each one of these little sections here is a value. Usually they say these are light values, these are dark values, this is on the high end of value range, this is on the low end, and then these are mid values or mid-tones. So that is a word we're going to be using a lot. I'll be using a lot, and it's going to be used a lot in the color and light class that we're teaching, and so it's something that you should be familiar with. So when we say value, we mean how light or dark a piece of an object is.
Now, don't a lot of people call that shading?
Yeah, you could call it shading, but value is better because shading is also a verb, I would say, so it just gets confusing.
Somebody wants to see your camera moved a little bit. Is that going to throw you off? Yeah,
because like this.
Yeah, they want to. They want to see you.
Oh, okay.
It's part of your. It's on your iMac, right? The built-in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's a thing called local value, sometimes called base value, and what that is, it's the essential value of an object's surface without any light or shadow. So if you took an object, you took away all the light, you took away all the shadow, and it was just there in a neutral setting, what is that local value of it? How gray or how black or how white is that thing? Okay, so here we have three shapes with their local value. This is a circular shape, this is a hexagonal shape, and this is a weird stretchy shape. We don't know exactly what these things are shaped like because we don't know what their just dropped out of my head. We don't know what their form is because the only information we have is what their local value is. And so the reason that we have light and shadow is to take these flat shapes and to give them form. Okay, so light and shadow are what take those objects and visually define them. When you have an object that's just a flat value, this could be a pizza, it could be a basketball, it could be a manhole. We don't know what it is because there isn't enough information in the value to tell us what it is. But once you add light and shadow to it, now we know, oh, this is a round, spherical object. And so that's the reason you want to add light, you want to add shadow to your work. And if you do it effectively, it will effectively show the shapes, what they're shaped like, what their dimensions are. Okay, so here's an example. Remember these guys I just showed you. When you add shadow to them, boom, all of a sudden we have more information and we understand that there is some dimension to them. Add light to them, it becomes even clearer. So take those away and they become very flat, very two-dimensional. Add the light and shadow and they become three-dimensional. Now you can see the light and shadow is changing the values or the shading, the values of these objects. So we have a darker value here, we have a lighter value here, we have sort of a middle value there.
So what let me ask you a question. What kind of a situation in the real world would you see objects flatten out? Like what kind of light would you
I don't think you would see that very much in the real world because there's light and shadow in the real world. Where you do see that is in lots of two-dimensional based media. So video games, animation, comics, that's when you have flat objects. That's when you have things that look like they're cut out of paper. And if you want a flat look, you just take away the light and you take away the shadow and you just focus on value.
Mm-hmm.
So we interpret the dimension of objects based on the light that hits them. So that's how it's defined. No light, no form. When you take light away, they become flat. When you give light, they become dimensional. Okay? No light, no form. That's something I want you to remember. And consequently, too, if you're looking at your piece and you're realizing, this piece is so flat. This character here looks like, I'm trying to make it three-dimensional, but he's looking very flat to me. Well, check and see how your lighting and shadowing is going. It might be that you're doing something wrong there. You need to add a little more shadow, a little more light to define the form a little bit better. Okay? Terminology. All right, so here we have that sphere again.